describe your relationship with Coach Gates and kind of what y'all have built over the last year plus?
Unique. I think that's the best way of putting it. It's a role model that I needed in my life, and getting the opportunity to come here and forming the relationship I have with him is what I needed for myself on the basketball court and off the basketball court as well. He's just someone I can go here when I'm away from my close family and friends from back home, and he's just someone I can trust. And I think that's always been something really hard with my life, is really trusting people, and just the ability to have where I feel like I can tell him anything and everything, and just we have that relationship with each other is something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life, and I hope he does as well.
I love you too.
I love you too.
Caleb, is there anything in particular you guys as a team want to hone in on over these next 3 games before you get that stretch with California and Kansas specifically?
Really just polishing ourselves and getting, I think what we learned from the first 4 games is how we can improve from each game, and I think we've gotten better from each game. Having this week of practice, we got to have a bigger emphasis of seeing where our weaknesses were while continuing to do things that we were good at. We could put more effort into it throughout this week of practice to polish those. So I think just going into each game, it's going to be a different game plan going into each game, but putting together 2 halves consistently leading up into the end of the non-con and into conference season is what we really need to be focusing on these next couple games.
On that note, with putting 2 halves together, what's really the key to that?
So I think everybody usually comes out with a lot of energy, and it's easy to come out like the Memphis game, first game of the year, a lot of energy, but how can we sustain that effort over time? Because mentally and physically you're going to get tired. So I think there's just a conditioning part that comes into it that I think almost every team in the country is really going to have that problem to start the year. So I think the ability we have to respond quicker in the second halves and just be able to, we have a deep rotation, so we can just use that to our advantage and wear teams out in the second half. We just got to keep our energy level really high.
Has there been a difference for you this season in feeling in rhythm shooting the basketball?
Yeah, I would just say I feel like more back to normal. I just, last season, I feel like I never got the right footing, and then starting this year, I never got the right footing, but I just started really focusing more on the defensive end and the other small things and not worry about my shooting. And all that, just worrying about those things and doing the winning things on offense and defense just has led to me being in rhythm. So I think really not focusing on my shooting and focusing on all the other parts of the game is what's helped me become more consistent throughout the beginning of this year.
Caleb, what's impressed you about Marcus Allen since he's come into the program?
I just think his maturity, on and off the court. You see a lot of talent, especially with freshmen. You see a lot of talent. You see, okay, that's why he got recruited to come here. But just his understanding of the game, offensively and defensively, I think it's really impressive. He plays the game like he's an upperclassman. He doesn't play like he's an underclassman. I think that's really been the most impressive thing with me that I've seen from him.
What's kind of the tangible difference there between playing like an upperclassman and maybe playing like a younger guy?
He just is always in the right spot, both ends of the floor. I think, it's a learning process. A lot of freshmen go through it. I went through it. You learn where to be on the court on offense. You got to know who's cutting and where is the right spacing on offense. And on defense, you got to know who's in the right positioning, away from the ball, on the ball. And he's just a guy that's always in the right spot. So he just has a really high IQ, and it's something that is going to help him throughout his whole career.
Coach was just saying that Robinson's kind of solidifying himself as a core guy on the team.
You say Anthony?
Yeah.
Okay.
What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? His development.
Yeah. So just from the summer, I would even go back into the spring, where we were doing individual workouts after the season. It's just, I remember me and him were grouped up together a lot during that, and I think me and him, we were really pushing each other a lot through those workouts, whether it was on the court or in the weight room. And me and him, we just really got a chance to build a connection like that and a bond, and we got to learn off of one another. And us feeding into each other, I think we made each other better leaders, and we made it better, more competitive within each other with our workouts. And then leading into the summer, I think he's done a really good job of being that leader for the underclassmen, the freshmen. He's been I always see him around with the freshmen and helping them out a lot. So I just think him, like he kind of looks like an older sibling to those guys, and I think that's just that leadership he's built off the court. It's translated onto the court, and that's why you see how much he's improved from season 1 to season 2 because of his leadership qualities and the confidence he's gained within him.